Hello, everybody. My name is Corey Rosen, and you're listening to the Story Podcast, the first Story Podcast of this year, with Mr. JT Arp.
GT Arp.
Why do I keep saying? Did I say J?
That's fine.
Oh my goodness! It's been a long day for me already. It's snowing, it's cold, and it's Thursday. I think
it's Thursday. Yeah.
it's about right.
That sounds right to me.
Well, GT, you are from Philly and started playing as GT Arp in 1997. Your most recent releases have been kind of everywhere, especially on Bandcamp.
This is true. Yeah.
This is true. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where do you begin? Where does music start for you?
You mean when did I start playing? Or
Yeah.
What? I started like in the early 90s, I think, like around 1990, 89. And I was just playing with a high school friend and then maybe in like one or two other things. Just like high school bands. One was like a cover band, and then the other band was just a two-piece. Me and my friend Chris. We did like a couple of tapes together, and then we had college, and we like kind of went our separate ways. He went to Skidmore, I went to Sarah Lawrence College, and so we would meet up or send tapes to each other, but we couldn't play as much. So we did like put out like maybe like one or two more albums through college, and after college I lived in New York City, and then he was still going to school, and then he moved to Boston, so it was hard to get together. It's kind of like a long distance relationship.
Right.
Yeah. So like I started making music on my own in New York, and he thought that he was going to play drums on like the third thing I did, and it was hard for me to do it, and it was just like to have the drums added was going to open a whole new can of worms, and I wanted to move forward, so it ended up not working out. We had to like split up, and then I used that third thing that I did on my own in New York, and I made it into GT Arp.
So what's the reason behind the name?
Well, the first record was called Guitar for Beginners.
Okay.
And then it's like guitar, and then P was as it's like a guitar and a harp combined, sort of. So
yeah.
That was the idea behind that. And then GT Arp sounds like just the concept of guitar from Guitar for Beginners, the first record. And then it's just like if you play more than one guitar at once, it can sometimes sound like a harp, like because it's a lot of strings.
Yeah.
So that was just the idea of the name, and then I just kept the name. I've had like different names, like I'm gonna play under the name E.T. Harp next week, I think, and then I played under the name like Any Part or a PC Carp. So I have like spin-offs of it that I've done. And I've played under other names like Camper Van Halen, and I've played like in other groups too.
Sure.
But yeah, this has always been my main project, I guess. So
explain it to me. You explained it to me as sent in as a one-man band. And so you play everything, or do you like use MIDI, or what do you do?
What do you mean when I play like now? Or?
So like when you release stuff, is that all just you playing? And because I've listened to some of your songs, is that all just you?
Yeah, a lot of it. You mean the recording wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, the recording wise, a lot of it's just been me. Yeah, just because it's expensive to like pay for a studio. You know, I did do it. I think the first record I ever did. The drummer I was with, his father had he won some sort of studio time somehow. He was in some sort of club, and he won like $1,000 worth of studio time. So the first record we actually did in a studio, and like we did it over 8 or 9 hours. But everything since then, I found it conducive to being more creative, just to use your own equipment, and like yeah, a lot of the time like the fidelity isn't so good. Like I understand that,
right.
But you know, it's I like having the freedom to like create at my own pace and not have to like, you know what I mean, work under a deadline or something.
Like stress, and
yeah,
you know, when you get studio time, you gotta make sure you use it efficiently, because you're literally paying so much money.
Yeah, and I don't have that much money generally. Like I wish I had the money to pour into something like that, but generally I don't. So,
Right.
yeah.
So you've been doing this for about 20 or almost 20 years, or almost 30
years.
Almost 30 years.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's cold. It's snowing.
No worries, man. Yeah. Totally.
My math is all off.
No. Yeah. It's
30
fine.
years. What do you think is your proudest achievement so far?
My proudest?
Yeah, over these 30 years of being GT Arp.
I like the way some of the records came out. I'm glad that I got to do them, and yeah, I wouldn't say there's like just one thing. I'm glad I've had the chance to be able to create and to make records, and I'm glad I've been able to tour, and I'm very thankful for support from my mom mainly, and
Mothers are always
it's good to have
very
your mom. And then I'm just thankful in general that I've been able to pursue this.
So what inspires you to make music? Like, do you have any specific process or anything in particular?
I try to avoid too much of a process because then it might get stale. Like if I get, you know what I mean? I don't want to get stuck into like one way of thinking. I think the Beatles made that point. Like you don't want to just like look at things from like one vantage point. But that said, I think with each record, I try to have like some sort of concept or some sort of restrictions when I make a record usually. So yeah, I do that.
Not a big singles guy?
Actually I do all singles now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I'll combine them to make a record.
Gotcha.
I understand that like today, like most people, they want to they hear singles like because of Apple or whatever Spotify playlists, and so yeah, I definitely just focus on putting out singles a lot of the time now instead of like just trying to put out a record.
Yeah, I've still been in a conversation on a show before of like losing the art of making like an album, something specific. Do you have thoughts on that, or?
What do you mean that people are losing that ability or something?
Or the attention span to let's sit down and like listen all the way through, like a Led Zeppelin or Elton John or any sort of album that actually like has like a concept to it.
Do I think it's concerning that people aren't doing that?
Yeah.
I think I don't know. It's hard to say. I think maybe I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I think that there's so much music that's like being put out like just every day and every year. And there are so many albums, like new albums that come out on so many labels, and then I don't think like the problem is that it's like dying out. I think it's more of a problem of there being too much products, which is fine. I think it's great if people want to create, and that's beautiful. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff out there. So yeah,
there's a lot of stuff out there, and you're some of it.
I am some of it.
Are you working on some new stuff for you?
Yeah, I think I gave you 2 or 3 songs, so I'm trying to make another record now, or I'm just like putting out singles on comps, and yeah, so I think, yeah, I have some new one-man band songs, but I'm trying to have other people help me with the songs more, so that it's more inclusive or something, and more maybe varied. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to aim for with some of my new songs.
So when you say one man band, do you mean like a traditional one man band, or do you mean just like you just play everything?
What you mean play everything like
you go up there with a rig and just and do it like that, like a traditional sense of a one man band?
Well, I think there's different ways to look at it. Like when I started doing it, it was the idea of just playing where you would normally play one thing, right? Like you have an idea, like you sit down and you play guitar, or you sit down and you play drums. And it was taking that concept, which is taken for granted, kind of like if you eat with one fork, right? You don't eat with 2 forks because like logistically it wouldn't make sense.
It's weird.
You think it wouldn't make sense, right? or you wouldn't eat with 3 chopsticks or something. But maybe you would. Like in some, maybe there's some way to make that work. So like it was just the idea of, instead of having one guitar, why not try to play with 2 guitars? Or like instead of having, one drum set, you could have 2 drum sets and make a song that way. Or like have 2 violins on a bow, you know what I mean? Or have 2 violins and
violin.
Yeah, 2 violins and 1 bow,
Right.
And there's just so many different ways you could look at that and like deconstruct like the way things have been approached, you know what I mean, and like try to make it different or more interesting. So that was it. So that was what I came at it. That was the perspective I looked at it from initially. I was living with some guy in New York City, and I was sleeping on his floor, and we had like 5 or 6 guitars, and then I put 4 of them on a wall. And then I reached for one of the guitars, and then it just came to me that why don't I try to play more than one of the guitars at once? Just, I was trying to think of something I could do, because like that was like during like the like after Sonic Youth, and then like Sonic Youth was very big, and like the dissonance was really cool, you know what I mean, and like having chords that didn't fit, and like using crazy tunings. Right. And people were just going wild with that, and then that had kind of run its course. So like I wanted to try to do something else. So yeah, that was what I did with that.
And so when you go out to shows, what do you just bring in a crap load of instruments?
Well, the thing with that is it's like logistically, it can be hard to do. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have your own car. So like I kind of put it aside after. Like 1998 or something, I stopped doing that, and then I did other stuff from like maybe 1999 until like 2012. I did different stuff that didn't rely a lot of lugging stuff around, because I wasn't living in one place, so I was moving around a lot, so it was hard to, you know what I mean. And then I didn't have a car, so then I stopped doing the one-man band stuff for a while.
And are you back to it now?
I've been doing it for like maybe 10 years. Since like 2014, I came at it again. But then this time it was more stripped down, and then it was more traditional. And then it was more trying to do like a literal one-man band. Like just the idea of what was my idea of like how you could make a one-man band as traditional as possible, maybe like that it would fit into like the paradigm of like playing with punk bands or rock bands, because I always had trouble like fitting into different scenes, and I was always like with just the weirder musicians, which is fine, you know what I mean, but I also have an element where I like to write pop structured stuff.
Right.
So yeah, like I wanted to try to maybe get the one-man band thing so that it fit into more of a normal setting.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? What do you bring whenever you go gigging? Is it like you got a cajon with a pedal and then a guitar, or what does it look like?
Like with the stuff I've done like the last few years, it's just like I just generally need a drum set and then a guitar. And then like the first record I did like 10 years ago was with a guitar, a drum set, and then sticks, and then like a harmonica like Bob Dylan style. So I did that for a while. And then when I was doing that was in South Korea, and in South Korea all the venues.
How'd you get there?
I was there because let me think. It was 2008, and there was a financial crisis.
There was a financial crisis.
Like what's that movie? There's a movie about it.
I'm not entirely sure.
With the drummer, the metal drummer, and he's all angry.
It's not Lars Ulrich, is it?
No.
It's one of the only
anyways,
drummers I know.
The guy sees the financial crisis coming. But anyways, so I needed a job, so I went to Korea and I taught English in 2008.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then
how long did that last for?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
What do you think is your biggest culture shock
in Korea?
For Korea? Yeah.
Everything, it was like very different there. It's quite different there. Like in a lot of ways, it's like it's more traditional, and like the people are more old fashioned, maybe like
More
in the
conservative.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's not many nose rings. Like if you leave the capital, Seoul, and
Probably high beauty standards though.
they do, yeah. The women, a lot of the women get plastic surgery, and they have very strict makeup regimens. Or not all of them though, you know what I mean. And there are lots of women who do like totally crazy things, you know, and like, yeah. But it's definitely, I wasn't in the capital, so I was in like the fourth biggest city, and it was much more conservative there. So yeah.
So did you write music then too?
I did, yeah.
Did that influence you? Did South Korea culture like influence you at all?
Yeah, I made a record called Korea Counseling, which is about a lot of my experiences there, like as a teacher, and just about like living in Korea, and you know what I mean, like about the food, and like the how the lights are different, like in the you like
The lights are different.
yeah, like they put all their advertising on the buildings, or a lot of it on the buildings.
Okay.
And then a lot of it's in neon, so there's like massive like neon buildings, and
So like
it's pretty
like
cool.
Broadway, but like Broadway, Tennessee, in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be like that, yeah.
Not
but
Broadway,
it's
New York. Broadway, New York's
like Broadway, New York too,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's like everywhere, so it's not just in one area. And then
that's crazy.
yeah. And then they do advertising on the street too. They'll have like flyers that they'll just throw on the street, and then
Really?
yeah. And I think that's from the Korean War, when they would the bombers, the American bombers would drop. Yeah, exactly. So they kind of kept that idea.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so I played in Korea, and what were we talking about? The one-man band. So yeah, towards the end of my time in Korea, I decided to go back to the one-man band thing. And yeah, all the venues in Korea, or a lot of them, have all the backline set up already.
Yeah.
So like
That's nice.
yeah, so they'll have like the bass amp and a guitar amp and drums, and they're usually in like pristine shape. And then they'll have like the mics and the PA. So like I didn't have to lug drums anywhere when I was like doing that.
That's nice.
It made it easier to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then the practice spaces were very cheap there, like compared to like in New York or Boston or something.
Sure.
So like it would be like $90 or $100 a month, and then you could go in whenever you wanted to practice. So like stuff like that made it easier to do it there. Yeah.
That is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
What do you think, if you could take one thing from Korean culture and bring it to America, what would it be?
I'm gonna play
Play the safeguard
with a band called No Conscription League. But I think it was good that like all the kids went into the army. I know this like not a popular view, but I think like it was like good that they did that. And like I think they have a lot of discipline there. Like I thought it was really impressive, like how hard the kids studied. They kind of studied too hard. Like they did it
right.
You know what I mean? There's a lot the very high suicide rate there, which is concerning.
That's right. Yeah.
And you know, so like they kind of overwork a lot of the kids and just the culture in general. But I'm impressed with how disciplined they are, and then they seem very well rounded. I don't know. They were very nice. They were so kind, most of the people, and it was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
And then at some point you came back.
I did. I came back. Well, I didn't. The last year and a half or so that I was in Korea, I stopped teaching. I got sick of teaching in the city I was in, because there was a limited music scene.
Okay.
So I left Daejeon, the city I was in, and I moved to Seoul to be closer to my friends. Like there was a noise scene in Seoul, and then there were more punk bands and just different things. So I went up there, and then I managed to make a living busking. So I was,
Oh, nice.
yeah, I was a busker there, and I did that. But I had to leave the country every 3 months to get my tourist visa renewed,
I see.
and then I couldn't get a music visa, like because they want you to have a degree in music or something to get a music visa. So like it's just I had to do this every 3 months, go to Japan or go, you know what I mean, and it was kind of inconvenient. And then I wasn't earning money legally. I was like an illegal immigrant, so like I could keep doing it, but I mean it was just weird. You know what I mean? It was just kind of weird vibes. So
Right.
like I had to make a decision. Like, was I gonna keep doing something illegal, or like should I like try to go somewhere where like it wouldn't, maybe I wouldn't get deported for doing what I wanted to do. So then I went to New Zealand, and I played in New Zealand, and I did a tour in New Zealand for like 3 months. And then after that I went to Australia, and I played in Australia for 3 months. And then I went back to America.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Australia.
Well,
What?
you can do it, man.
I know.
It's expensive. The flight's expensive. Yeah.
It's always like the conundrum, right? Like you can always do something, but it's like, how much are you willing to sacrifice to do it?
Yeah.
And and get out of your comfort zone. And right now, I just can't justify it, or else I would.
Well, the good thing about Korea was that they would pay for your flights. A lot of the schools, so like you'd get over there, and you know what I mean, and then they would pay for your housing a lot of the time.
Right, that makes sense.
So you'd be making like a ton of money, and it wouldn't be so hard to go there and come back.
Right.
So once you're there, it's pretty easy to get to like other countries like China or Japan, and even Australia is like significantly closer. Yeah. So.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Do you think you would ever go to any other part of the world or back?
I've been all over. I've played in the UK. I played in Alaska. I did a tour with a Pixies band in the Philippines. When I was in Korea, I toured. I'm trying to think where else. I've toured like parts of the U.S. before, and yeah. So I've been a lot of places. Would I go back to Korea? I really want to go back, and I will. Like I still have a lot of friends that are there, or they're in Japan, and I talk with them. But it's expensive, and then I have to be here or I want to be here to help my mom and my sister, because they're like in America, and I just want to be near them, like especially as my mom gets older. Yeah. So and then once you're there, like it's so hard to get there. It's like a 24-hour flight. You know what I mean? So once you're there, you just want to stay there for a while.
Especially with all their jet lag, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, like the first 2 days, you're just adjusting to the jet lag. It's like a 14-hour difference or whatever. So yeah, so like if I go back, I'll go back for like a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then you know what I mean. I'll make it. I know the lay of the land, and I know what I would probably do, and yeah, so I would be able to live there cheaply or visit cheaply, and yeah.
Should we get into some of your music?
Okay, sure.
Let's do our Restore.
Okay.
Tell me about Restore.
That's a song about restoring democracy, or like restoring the country, so that the politics are healthier, and that there's less polarization and instability.
Well, let's take a listen.
Restore, I implore, make it like it was before. Restore, nothing more. People have screwed up, the system was fine before. Restore, I implore, nothing more. All those terrible things now past, at least half of them shouldn't last. Nothing else needs to be consolidated. Nothing in the Constitution needs to be degraded. Let's leave the separation of powers alone. There's no need to be tapping everyone's phones. There's no need for controlled opposition. There's no need for harassment to be persistent. Before 9/11, things seemed much better. Now so many leftists turned into protesters. So many righties turned into spies. So many scandals cover up murders and lies. Republic's a sacred thing, not to be perverted by empires or kings. Now let's move on from greedy towards renewal and further awakening. Restore, I implore, make it like it was before. Restore, nothing more. People have screwed up, the system was fine before. Restore, I implore, nothing more. No more secret societies, always manipulating everything. Truth is the main thing that needs to be guided, not hateful agendas or wicked beliefs. Let's take it back to the founding. Minus discriminatory thinking. The more innocence that has been lost, the more there is to reclaim at all costs.
And that was Restore by, I almost said J. I almost did it.
GTR. Yeah.
It's a southern to me. I was to say J.
Maybe I'll change it to J. I could do that for now.
There you go. So I noticed that song is pretty droney.
Is it?
A little bit. Well, in the sense that, like, you know, there's a very central key, and it kind of sticks to that. Your voice is kind of monotone. You know, you get excited with it, which is fun, but it's very much droney.
I'm not like a Mariah Carey type of singer.
Sure.
Clearly.
not many people are.
Yeah. I've always been like a fan of like droney rock music, like the Velvet Underground or Stereo Lab or Faust, or just things like that. So maybe that plays into it. Yeah.
So, oh, I had a question. I lost it. So you did all of these things on that yourself? The guitar, the drums, the recording?
Yeah, everything myself. Yep.
So is there anywhere you want to particularly push your music into, like, is there anywhere you want to grow or anything you want to specifically, like, go into next?
A new direction or
like
something?
A new direction or?
Well, I think the next record, if I put the songs together, or EP, will be called Band-Aids, because it's the idea of like having other people like involved in the project.
That's fun.
So yeah, I might do that and like go more in that direction. And then I've never really, or I've had bands, but like they didn't work out for whatever reason. Like it was either a cover band or I don't know, just different things. So I would like maybe try to I might try to do a goth record with some guys.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I know some guys that I'm working with. We're doing like a Joy Division cover band, so maybe I could try to steer them into like doing a goth band. I have a bunch of kind of gothy Halloweeny songs.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's like one idea. Or I'm trying to think what else. I have some other ideas. Yeah. I have these guitars that I like take the neck off and then I like put it back on. So I've been trying to like make guitars where like they have a hinge on the
okay.
Yeah. So I had a friend help me make one, so it's kind of like an elbow vibe. But I think there's other ways you could do it too. Like I had another friend make me one where there's like a magnet in the on the between the neck and the
the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you can take it off and then put it back on, and then you can stand up when you're playing it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Is that just for like just easier storage or just?
No, I was doing it like I'm big into like a lot of noise music and then like Sonic Youth, like I said.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was more for that, for like artistic stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued because have you ever seen The Social Network?
No, it's the movie
the movie
okay.
about Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
And Trent Reznor and Atticus Finch did the score to that. And it sounds like you're almost kind of chasing that kind of sound where it's just like drones and just noises that groove really well.
I kind of feel like Trent Reznor. I've been thinking about that like recently. Yeah, like yeah. So maybe.
it's one thing I've been trying to wrap my mind around because we were talking during the break. I'm a film composer, and one of the first film that I worked on that I like auditioned for, the cast director or the director wanted he wanted something that sounded like Trent Reznor and Atticus Finch, specifically a familiar taste from the Social Network movie. And then he wanted something from Pixar, specifically something that replicated. Have you ever seen Soul by Pixar?
I have not.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Okay.
It's a good movie for any musician, I think. That people will understand.
SOUL.
Yep, SOUL. Soul.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, wonderful movie. And you know how Pixar always has that one score at the very end. It just makes you bawl your eyes out.
Okay.
Or even within like the first 5 minutes when you're watching Up, you're like, oh jeez.
Okay.
That was the kind of score that he wanted, and I struggled so I do really well with the latter part.
Okay.
I'm good at making people cry.
Okay.
For better or for worse. But I'm god awful at making droney soundscapes.
Okay.
Because it just doesn't compute. I'm a melodic guy. I was classically trained, and so it doesn't make sense to me. Like I can get dissonances and like sharp 13s and I can like expand that way. But when you're talking just like pure soundscape, kind of like that, or kind of like Hans Zimmer does when all like a lot of his scores.
Yeah.
It just boggles my mind.
Okay.
And I can't get around it.
Well, I don't know what to tell you there. Like it's like a different way of looking at things.
It is a different way of looking at things. But that's probably because I've been blasted my entire life with like 70s and 80s music, which was all melodic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, melodic stuff is great too.
It's great. No, totally, not to say that it's bad or anything.
For sure, yeah.
But I definitely want to expand my. I think all musicians should want to expand their tastes and their sound as much as you can. You know, Chicago from the 70s isn't the Chicago from the 90s, you know what I mean?
I hear you.
And I feel like a lot of musicians get trapped. I was just listening to...
what do you mean trapped? Like how?
Trapped as in... So I was just about to get to that. So there's a guy called Ryan Leach, who's a great YouTuber, does a lot of scoring and stuff like that. And he was talking about, you know, when you like go to college, professors like, oh, you got to find your voice, you got to find your sound. And then a lot of people, including me, I've kind of fell into the trap where I wanted to find my sound, and it could only be that sound, right? But that's not what growth in music looks like. Growth in music looks like all sorts of sounds, all sorts of different methods. You know, I'm sure when you write a song, you might come up with you might just think, oh, that's a cool sound, I should write something to that, and then you might just have lyrics that you don't know what the heck to do with, and until you find that particular soundscape that you want to start, you know, yelling or shouting or like, you know, I just got introduced to like Limp Bizkit for the first time, and they're just shouting their lyrics the entire time, and it's a different concept to me.
Okay, yeah.
And I like that. It kind of, you know, I just think people should expand their, Taylor Swift was country back in the day. Now she's doing all sorts of stuff. Beyonce dipped her toe in country, for better or for worse.
I think it's great. It's great. Cool that she did that. It's like a very, very cool move for sure.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to see different artists do different things. Like Elton John. I didn't know Elton John did a track with Tupac.
That's great.
You know what I mean?
That's totally cool.
It's insane to me. Like the last two people you would ever think of like a crossover. Elton John did one with Tupac. He did one with Britney Spears recently, and it's like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Totally. I wish people did more of that, because I feel like a lot of musicians, a lot of like independent musicians, I feel get trapped into their one specific style. Where we're in this box, we are a post-pop punk rock band that wears, skinny jeans and leather jackets and a chain that goes to the right pocket. That's it.
I hear you, man. Yeah, everyone has trouble with that, where you you get into a routine, or like you get stuck in looking at things from a certain perspective. Sure. So yeah. I try to avoid that if I can, I guess. Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's fun exploring new genres, and it seems like you're almost you're expanding upon a more contemporary, I guess, if you want to be. It's more like a more modern, like a postmodern kind of sound, which is cool. I like it.
To me, like it could. I think it. Maybe this sounds pretentious, but to me, I think it could be its own genre, and like people just they haven't tapped into it enough, or like
right.
Yeah, because like if you look at like reggae music, you know what I mean, or ska, like there's a definite aesthetic to it where you're like you strum down and you mute the strings, and then you go up and you make the sound. You know what I mean? Or it'll have like the more modern ska will have the old stuff too. We'll have horns or something, or you know what I mean, and then the drums are very tight, and so yeah, I think they're like with the limitations of doing it. If you're doing it with guitar and drums, I think that like there are definite limitations that give it its own sort of sound. I think it can be lost though, because like it is just, if you're just doing it with those two instruments, it does sound very traditional as well. So like, yeah.
Well, and I don't think that's necessarily a problem, and because there's always something you gotta like root back to. You know what I mean? There's no way you can like reinvent a guitar.
Yeah.
You just make a new instrument, right? But it's still the concept. A guitar is basically a glorified, violin from way back then, which is like a glorified harp.
For sure, yeah. Yeah.
And even today, like recently, there are a lot of bass players just working on pinch harmonics on the bass, and it's like, who would have thought of that? Or doing chordal things, getting more strings on the bass and just doing really cool stuff. My friend Liam Galliano does this all the time. He thinks the bass is typically a grounded instrument, 1-5-1, roots and fifths. That's pretty much it. Walking sometimes, but Liam takes this approach. It's like, no, it's its own special musical instrument. You can do whatever you want with it. It doesn't matter what stereotype or where the bass has been classed, right, to make your own music. And I think.
What's his name again?
Liam Galliano. You should check him out.
I will.
He's cool. He's got a band. I'll just rant on him for a second because he's really cool.
Dude.
he just started a trio called You Nasty Boys with killer drummer K-Rock, Kieran, and Mauricio. I cannot pronounce his last name, but he's a killer guitarist. And
from Colombia? Or?
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And they have the Liam also has his other project, All Groove, which is so phenomenal, and I'm hoping to work with them in the future too. So because they're always looking for collaborative people to work with, and
I've seen a lot of different basses too. Like they have those giant things now with like 10 strings or like 20 strings, which is crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's cool.
It is cool. It's hella cool.
And I'm really excited to see like new iterations of like as technology gets better and resources get more accessible. There's going to be crazy types of instruments coming out in the next 10, 15 years that is that a guitar? That's not quite a guitar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is that?
I think that's definitely the future. Like just like looking at something that like you take as normal, and then it'll be altered over time. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Should we get to your next song?
What's the next one?
Kingdom of Iser?
Iser. Yeah. That song's about like realizing your thoughts, or like manifesting what you want to have true in your reality.
Well, let's take a listen.
Have you been to the kingdom of Iser? It is somewhere between here and there. It is somewhere between soul and body. Remember the juxtapositions near. It'll help you manifest whatever. If whatever's what you used to share. Turn a desert into water. Turn a giraffe into a bear. Get a date with X, Mr. Man's daughter. Share a plate of pure destiny fare. You are what you create, what is fate. So much depends on how things are perceived. Become what you are from your part. Make true your wildest fantasies. Transmogrifying and transforming. Ever evolving and altering. All you need to find is the Iser. The Helen of this reality. The Iser is a metaphorical box. Put something in to get something out. Share a plate of metaphysical crowd. Have you been to the kingdom of Iser? It is somewhere between here and there. It is somewhere between soul and body. Or any number of juxtapositions near. It'll help you manifest whatever. If whatever's what you wish to share. Turn a desert into water.
And that was Kingdom of Iser. And just to show that, that was different than your last one. Just to kind of go off of that point of expanding your horizons.
Well, thank you.
No, because that was more groovy, more it had a riff, more melody, and just it's clearly you. Different sound though.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad. It is different from the last song.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to rehash the point, but I feel like a lot of bands do get stuck in writing the same kind of stuff over and over again, and because that's what they've always done, and we want to grow outside of that as like musicians. Anyway, you're on tour.
I'm on tour. Yeah. This is the first stop of the tour. Yeah, and then tomorrow I'm gonna play in Lambertville, New Jersey. If you've heard of it, I don't know.
I don't think is that middle New Jersey?
It is. It's across from New Hope.
So it's part of New Jersey that is the best part of New Jersey, but no one ever hears anything about it.
There's like a site or a hashtag on Instagram that says Central Jersey exists.
Yeah, so right, exactly. Yeah, it's either Philly, New York, or Asbury Beach, which is the best place to be.
Yeah. So but Central Jersey's been really good. We have one of my housemates is from Central Jersey. And there's a lovely venue near Princeton in Flemington, which is in the middle of nowhere, but it's called Flemington DIY, and that's a excellent DIY venue. And then Lambertville is a great town. I've only been there once, but like it was just beautiful. A really lovely little town on the one of the main rivers. I think it's the Delaware River. Yeah. So like they have like kind of an art scene that goes way back.
Oh, that's cool.
In that town, yeah. And then that town's across from New Hope, which is like it's Ween is from there, and
right.
Then, New Hope has a huge history of just different things. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then where are you going from there? You going to Virginia, right?
Where am I going? Then I'm going back over here to Harrisburg to JP Love Drafts.
I love JP Love Drafts. Is that their main location or like their the brewery?
I don't even know. I have no idea. But that's in Harrisburg, and then I'm playing with 2 bands. And after that, I'm playing. Oh God, I can't remember. Oh, Huntington, West Virginia.
I think that's West Virginia. I think so.
Yeah. Huntington, West Virginia, and then I'm playing the other group that's playing has 2 people from Sun Ra in the band.
Okay.
Which is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's like the Sun Ra Orchestra now, and I don't know if they're playing with that group now, but they've been affiliated with it, so like it's pretty cool to do a show with them. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And back to Philly?
No, then I'm gonna stay with my friend in Tennessee for 2 days.
Oh, there you go.
My friend Jason.
That's gonna be a drive.
Yeah. In Johnson City, which is like in the far eastern part. It's like near
not too far of a drive then.
Knoxville, and stuff like that. And then I'm gonna play in Louisville, Kentucky.
You know what?
What?
I interviewed a band from Louisville, Kentucky called Tattered Sons.
Okay.
I would look them up.
Okay.
And see if they're playing. They are a really cool like. In fact, I was just talking to the songwriter today of them, Derek Lester, because I had him on the show and we're trying to work out syncing licensing because that's a nightmare to traverse.
Okay.
And Tattered Sons, they're like a modern Leonard Skinner, so it's like southern rock, but it's now.
Okay.
It's really really cool stuff. And honestly, I love their song "Your Love Is a Rumor." That is a phenomenal song.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. And then are you coming back then?
No, then I'm playing Cincinnati.
That's another drive.
Yeah, that's a lot of drive. Well, it's America, man.
Right,
it's a big country. Yeah. So after Cincinnati, then I'm playing in Cleveland. And then I don't know what it's called. No Class. I think it's like a punk venue. I think Cleveland has a lot of good small venues.
I've been there once, and I want to go back.
Really?
Which is something I've heard a lot of people say.
Yeah, Cleveland gets a lot of crap. I think when I go, I really want to go see the Rock and Roll Museum.
Oh, yep.
Did you go or?
I did go there. Yeah, we went. I did a. No, it wasn't Cleveland. There's 3 cities in Ohio with start with the C.
Canton.
We went to Columbus.
And
then we went to Cincinnati. I did not go to Cleveland. Right off the lake there, right? Yeah, we did not go to Cleveland.
Okay.
Although I would like to because of the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And I know that they've got some really cool other stuff there to do that I saw on our road trip map. We just never went. We went to Chicago instead.
Okay. Another sea town.
Another sea town. America's full of them.
Indeed. And then after Cleveland, I'm gonna play in Philly. I have 2 shows in Philly, maybe a third now. I guess I don't know. But
add that to his leg.
Yeah, but the shows in Philly, like the first one is just with a Joy Division cover band, and the next one is like I have an experimental music thing I do at the end of every month called Avant Mike, and then I'm gonna be doing that with like another act. Like we're gonna combine forces and do our noise thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, totally.
You have to let me know when that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, kind of rounding out the show here, we have one more song from you, Mouth Guard.
Okay.
What's that one about?
It's just about shutting up. Like trying not to say too much, like, because you might get in trouble or something. So I think that's just the general vibe of it. And then it's also about I use a mouth guard now because I grind my teeth.
I also grind my teeth. I need to get a mouth guard.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what it's about.
Let's take a listen to Mouth Guard.
The dentist said I've been hurting my teeth, that I've been stressing too much and grinding them when I sleep. She says it can be damaging and to go to the pharmacy and to get one of these numbers, and when I go to sleep I put in my mouth guard. If my mouth is to be protected, I put in my mouth guard. It's for me to be healthy. Unnecessary roughness was the call, but that's my job as the right tackle. I already got one yellow card, I wanna kill the rest, but the clock is ticking. Time to get back in the huddle. So after glaring at the ref, I put in a mouth guard. It's for me to help them. I put in a mouth guard. It's for the team to be protected. You know it's tempting to talk back, or somehow to strongly react. Yeah, that's just adding to the trouble I am. I don't want that. Tomorrow we have to get up early. The last 3 hours I've been feeling quite surly. Been drinking too much, and tomorrow will be tough. You're nagging me about your hair. What I should wear is driving me crazy. I'm like, I put in my mouth guard, in a private girlfriend. I put on a happy face for all the world to see. I put in my mouth guard, knowing your brother's not here. Don't wake me up too soon. Gonna take a ride across the room, me and your team. I put in my mouth guard. It's for me to be protected.
And that was Mouth Guard. And like I said, continuing from the last song, very unique stuff. Very cool. I really like the fact that you put in a mouth guard while you're saying anything. And then the clock ticking as well. And I feel like that's almost a lot lost art as well, like mixing your lyrics into your music, or putting your music into your lyrics, right? Whenever I mean, those great songwriting tips is whenever you're saying something about going up, is that you go up in the melody, or you're saying something down, you go down in the melody. But even just like the clock ticking, and then you have the. It's great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it.
No, because it makes sense and it's fun and I think that's what makes songs like memorable and like impactful, is that you meld the two together. Because a song is not just lyrics, it's not just music, it's lyrics and the music together that make the impact. And if they're not serving each other, what do you got?
What you
Probably
get
got
nothing.
something corporate. You know what I mean?
You get, maybe I hope not.
I hope not.
Jeez.
But that's I'm such a super advocate of having your lyrics make sense with the music. Especially as a film composer, because that's literally I have no lyrics. I have to make you feel.
You have to convey what the film is showing, or you
exactly.
want to, yeah.
And I feel like songwriters need to do that more so in their music, as newer bands or newer songwriters could do that more as opposed to less.
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think when I started playing, started writing music, a lot of the people who were big, in the indie scene, Guided by Voices or Pavement, they're amazing writers. I love what they do. It's fantastic, but it's often very abstract, or
right.
It's hard to make out what they're saying, and they kind of annoyed me with some of the songs, because you really want to know, But
that's why I can't get into screamo. I can never tell what the heck they're saying.
Yeah. So I try to go in a different direction, be very specific about not always but a lot of the time for sure.
Yeah, no, yeah. I love the ramble.
Yeah.
So rounding out the show, I got a few questions. What's the funniest or most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on stage?
On stage? The most funniest or most embarrassing? God, I'd have to think about that, man. Jeez. I'd say the most embarrassing would be playing and no one showing up for the show. That's happened a couple of times. It happened in Boston once, and then once in New York. So that can be tough if that happens. But yeah, and then funniest thing that ever happened, oh God, I'd have to really think about it. I remember I played in China, the first tour I ever did was in China, and I went to the city, Wuhan, and they booked me in this giant concert hall for 7,000 people, and it had this balcony. It was this opera house. So it was pretty weird to play a venue like that. That was kind of
the reverb
funny.
in there must have been absolutely insane.
Well, I was playing really loud, abrasive, noisy stuff. So I don't think the audience really noticed it. I think they were more interested in that I was from America maybe or something.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Tourist attraction.
Yeah, indeed.
So this is America.
Yeah.
That's funny.
This is what the kids in America are doing now.
That's right.
Yeah.
What do you think is a technique or skill that you're still working on that you would want to improve upon?
I'm trying to play piano and trying to play it better too. I can play, but not so well. So I'm trying to learn more classical stuff and branch out more. And yeah, definitely that. Yeah.
Last question: What is one thing that you know now, being in the music industry, that you wish you knew when you first started?
Now, that I knew, I think it's important. I think it's hard, when you if you grow up in the suburbs or somewhere outside of a major city, you're kind of at a disadvantage. Not necessarily, you can stay there and it can be okay and you can develop community. But if you go into the city, it can be hard. It's an adjustment. You have an adjustment period, I guess.
And then there's, your small fish in big pond versus big fish in small pond.
For sure, yeah.
And then there's so much we can go into about, okay, we've made it in Lancashire, PA. Can we move to Philly, New York, or LA, or Nashville, or, Atlanta, and make it there?
Yeah.
Totally different question,
Yeah.
depending on even what city. If you're gonna do, rap, you're probably gonna want to go to Atlanta. If you're gonna do country, you're probably gonna want to go to Nashville. If you're doing jazz or something extremely experimental, New York or LA.
Yeah. But I think wherever you go, it's also good. You want to try to build a community. You want to help other people if you can.
Oh, 100%.
And then, yeah, you want to try to get along, hopefully.
No,
yeah.
You'll get much further than anybody else will if you're kind and nice wherever you go. If you're, good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's true. Definitely.
I 100%. That's only whenever I go somewhere, I always like to thank all the staff, even like the janitors that don't like get much praise.
Yeah.
Because they've kept the reason why this thing looks so beautiful is because they cleaned it.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally, yeah.
And it's stuff like that you take time and talk to people, and that's why venues want you back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an easy way to be like, hey, I've got a tour. I'm coming from this place to that place. You're on the way. You got a spot?
Yeah.
They might say yes because they like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Always be nice. Always be kind. You never know who's listening. You never know who's watching. And you never know who that person that you might have been slightly mean to will rant about it.
You never know,
Never
man.
know. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people find you at?
You mean my websites or?
Yeah.
For like live clips, my Instagram is at G as in golf, T as in Thomas, A as in Alpha, R as in Romeo, P as in Papa, E as in Echo, or I have a SoundCloud G-T-ARPE.
And you have a bandcamp.
Yeah, the SoundCloud's just for like singles, quote unquote, and then the bandcamp's more like albums or comps.
Well, Music Friday, Artist Friday, what do they call it?
Cheap Half Price Friday or something.
Well, I know that every Friday they do
Bandcamp Friday.
Bandcamp Friday, where they give 100% of any sales to the musician. That's tomorrow.
All right.
So there you go.
That maybe, yeah.
Buy all of his stuff.
Maybe, yeah, but the Bandcamp is gtarp.bandcamp.com.
There you go. Well, with all that said, my name has been Corey Rosen. You can find me everywhere on any platform, anywhere. Or you can just go to my website and find it all there too at CoreyRosenProductions.com. That's CORYROSEN Productions.com. We got some really cool stuff coming up, and the Story Awards. Every year I like to do a little award show. I don't mean to call it stupid because it's not, but and a showcase where I have artists from the previous year play, and I give out little medals and stuff like that just for fun. Because I can and I want to, and that will be April 26th, commemorating also the 3rd year of this podcast, which is kind of insane to me, but hey, we're doing it. Otherwise, we'll see you guys around. Bye.
Bye.